What's up? What's up, y'all?
Hey everyone, and we're back with another episode of Why Y'all Working. I'm one of your hosts, Alairé Jameson.
I'm Michael Ogunsanya.
And we got a nice wrap up end of the year episode for y'all. Hopefully the audio quality sounds a little bit better. We're elevating step by step, week by week, month by month. And as you can see, with the end of the year, there's a lot of things that we want to recap and talk about. So, Michael, where are we this year? Where did we go? How did we end up here? Was this year as bad as last year? As bad as the pandemic? Or we're minority startups actually getting funding? Like, did Mindstand make it? Are we here now? Did we exit? I don't know. Like, what are we looking like?
For real, do we make it to the upper room? Is the question. The upper room. It's been a hectic year. I feel like quietly hectic. We spent some time. We love y'all, the night crew, checking in every weekend. We looked through some of the latest things that happened over the past year in startup world, and we're going to share about it this episode. When you look just in totality, from the submarine that got turned into a Coca Cola can, all the way down to Silicon Valley Bank, just like changing, collapsing, and coming back together within 48 hours. It's been a year of growth for a lot of people. When I talk to founders that, created their company at the same time as I co founded Mindstand, they're telling me like this year has been tough. It's been hard. The access to pre seed capital has been way less than it's ever been. Yeah. And I think we're starting to see a bit more now, especially recent news came out about the Fed expecting to cut interest rates. I think that's going to trickle down into how these pre seed companies are able to get funding. So, all in all, I mean, it's been one of those years where like you just had to be on your grind if you wanted to like create, this startup and have it launch, because Chat GPT, how it grew, now it has its own marketplace, and now it has its own startup fund accelerator too. So it's really becoming one of those like, if you're not in the right circles, and if you came into 2023 not being in the right circles, and if we only got like 20 more days, you better get in those circles now, because 2024, it's really going to be about who and if you're providing something that's necessary at scale. So it's been an interesting year.
Oh, damn, for sure. Okay. Well, with that being said, let me see here. Yikes, there's a lot. Just moving down a list. We talked about the Silicon Valley Bank, just moving on from like the Fed collapse. Just not even the Fed collapse, but just thinking about like how the Fed interest rates have essentially played a big part in why a lot of banks either succeed or fail in this world, and SVB just so happened to be one of them. Um, Apparently, they're back now, but under new management because they were bought for pennies on a dollar. I forget who. I'll have to look up who bought them, but they did get bought out. All the assets were acquired. However, they tried to do a thing where all of the original, I guess, not creditors or debitors. I don't know how that works, but the original account holders are still with SVB, but SVB is just managed by a different company. So they tried to keep everything in place so that way the infrastructure wouldn't collapse completely. Even though, I mean, the damage that it was done for the days that it was shut down for was already, you know what I mean? All these companies already had gone out of business. It didn't change that fact. And rather, again, to Michael's point, there has been little to no investment in minority led businesses, whether they be venture capital and or otherwise focused. So a lot of these people who didn't get money before the pandemic and all of that, if they got some type of money during these past 3 years since 2020, they either burned through it, have had to find different ways to make new money, or they're still holding on to it and doing so very frugally. I actually saw on a post the other day on Twitter that some dude is holding on to like 10 million and he's living off of the interest, the 6% interest from the bank. So that's what he's using to keep his company afloat, which is a great use of those funds. He's never touched his principal. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it's kind of like, all right, well, there's certain situations in which founders can be a little bit scrappy, but for people like us and for other founders out there who didn't have those same, that 10 mil just to sit and do that. Maybe 10 mil is their running cash flow week to week, right? Their operating income. So if they're using that on a day to day, you could see how quickly companies could get caught up. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Have you heard any new news about like any SVB programs coming back, Michael? Like as far as that is concerned, because I know that they shut down a lot of the stuff that they were sponsoring, supporting, all of that, and kind of pulled back and refocused on just their banking. And I don't even think they do venture capital as much anymore, if at all, from what the last articles I read.
Yeah, I mean, it's been definitely like radio silent there to let the audience know. So it was First Citizens Bank that acquired SVB, again, like you said, for pennies on the dollar. And SVB was definitely super forward thinking in terms of like going to networking events, hosting events. What they believed, because at the end of the day, they're a bank. They're not an investment firm. They're not anything other than a place where growing startups can put their money, and then of course banks leverage the capital that they have to make bets. Because SVB was making, what's considered in the traditional finance space is risky, but in a startup space is like good ideas and good innovation. That's why they got flagged, and the accounts of people who had money, their businesses had money in SVB, were pretty much frozen for weeks on end. So it just seems like that same reason why they got froze and ultimately, acquired is, the reason why they're not, having these sponsored events, or you're not seeing, Tom from SVB at every event, or you don't even see Twitter accounts anymore from them. Is really like they went into like a circle and like hid.
Okay, got you. They're like reorganizing, re-strategizing, and I mean, whatever First Citizen is. You said First Citizens or First National?
First Citizens
First
Bank.
Citizens. So whatever they decide, whatever First Citizens decide, um, I'm gonna be curious to see what they do with that, because if that's the way that they start refocusing their venture arm through that, and maybe they become one of the banks to survive this next tranche of economic downturn that we're about to go into. I mean, it's never a good thing when the Fed is decreasing rates, in my opinion, because they're just doing that to calm the fires for more storm. So uh, we'll see how that works out. Honestly, um, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There's a lot of money being pulled out right now, and put like into liquid. So it's interesting.
And that 6% you mentioned, it's not just like the 10 plus millionaire group. For the listeners here, and we're excited for like some of the new partnerships we'll have. Really focused on giving you guys the best content, promoting different solutions and products we think you'd be interested in. Check out some of the high yield savings accounts. I'm not going to name specific ones, but if you can Google it, search up Nerd Wallet, you can find like great ways to store your cash, 5 or 6%, and have that grow month over month and compound. Also, there's crowdfunding tools as well. I can't remember the names of some right now, but if you're interested in investing in startups, because some of these people really do need the money to turn that 1 into 10, 10 into 100, and you're interested in it, it'd just be a good way to see what's coming out in terms of innovation. So definitely think about putting, setting aside maybe 500 or however much you have towards
Only if you have the disposable income. Do
exactly.
not do it if you don't have the disposable income. I swear, because you'll especially with like crowdfunding tools. I'll name drop one. Fundrise, for example. Fundrise allows you to like invest in like real estate. It's a REIT basically,
Hmm.
real estate investment trust. But one of the terms and conditions is that if you need to pull your money out, you won't be able to pull your money out unless like you have to ask them to get your money out of whatever investment it's tied up in. If they are in an economic downturn and they're not performing, and even if they are performing well, they may say no,
Hmm.
and they have the ability to do so. So you will be SOL if that is the case. So I just want you to know that most of these companies have the ability to deny you if you are asking for these funds back. So that's why I say very very highly stressed. Please make sure you have the disposable income to do that. I'll just
Yeah,
leave
we
it
do
there.
not want to have you
It's
out
not a
here.
get rich quick scheme. It's not stocks. It's not crypto. Look, I'm even scared of crypto, but I know that in the next tranche, now that Bitcoin back up, this next you need to be on the upswing. This is only going, you got to just get in, but you got to figure it out, do it strategically, get an advisor or something. I don't even know who's reputable at this point because the market is in disarray. But um, figure it out, do some due diligence, do some research, read some books, and yeah, I'm actually gonna find the Book of Bitcoin so that way I can read that. That was one of the major ones besides the Art of War that I'm gonna read. That's on my radar. Two of those two books, I'm gonna definitely pull up on.
And for everyone listening, please share your thoughts, your resolutions for 2024. I'm glad you shared, Larry. You got some books you want to read. I'm still, I'm on that weight journey, that weight loss journey, trying to get strong and swole. I'm heading to Nigeria in a week.
Yeah, I'm a personal trainer. Diet. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been following my diet. My trainer's been on my ass about that. So yeah, he asked me this week. I think my hip has been hurting, so I didn't do my workouts on Tuesday and Wednesday, which was like pretty much mobility and like strength training workouts and stuff. So I got in most of my strength training and weightlifting on Monday. That's usually my full body day. But like I have not been in the gym the last 2 days because of how my hip has been hurting. And then on top of that, I hate, in order to grow, get bigger, you got to eat more. I don't like forcing myself to eat. It's a problem. I got to eat more protein. So that's where I get hung up. I don't know about you.
Fair, fair. Sometimes it'd be like the snacks for me, man. Once it hits 10 p.m., I gotta really just like cut myself off from everything, bro. I swear, if I was the type of person that go to sleep by like 9 p.m. every day, I'd be so skinny. Because when I wake up, I'm not thinking about food, but it's that late night, that, what's it, basketball game. I'm playing some 2K or something. I'm like, mhm. So yeah, let us know, what's been keeping you away from your goals in 2023, and what you want to do in 2024, what you want to change, or if you don't even know if you can change.
And if you don't want to change, that's cool too.
Cool.
Each to each their own. I feel that.
Mhm.
But speaking about change, OpenAI went through a whole major change in 2023. I think the coup d'état that we all saw coming, unfortunately, from a lot of different perspectives. I think that the big behemoths of the world, even Google, was looking at hiring Sam Altman and a couple other folks from uh, OpenAI. And I think that whole project in general, at least just to give my 2 cents on it, is very interesting to see how it got developed to begin with because it was supposed to have been an open source project that was free for everyone. Then they were like, well, we got to monetize this somehow in order to make money off of it because what we're developing here could essentially change the world, which probably will, but it's not the only model that's being developed out there. So, or has been developed out there because, again, in my personal opinion, Boston Dynamics and all of those defense tech companies that have been working on like humanoid robots have already been ahead of the game to begin with. I think that their technology is probably the most advanced out of all of the other type of AI focused technology that is out there. However, what I will say in terms of like computing platform and modality of that, like I think that is really interesting in terms of they wanted to the essence and the true purpose of what OpenAI was supposed to do was to give open access to artificial intelligence for everyone, whether they be educational, for do-gooding, that was the purpose, to do good. But people found other use cases for it, and I think that this has just made even education, talking from a K through 12 to university perspective, it's made it a nightmare.
Mhm.
Right? For us, we didn't necessarily have as much AI tools when we were in school, even though it came about like maybe at the end of 2020, right? With certain
Mhm.
things here and there, like maybe a speech to text editor or something like that. But there wasn't anything as robust as asking a full fledged question to your computer and getting an actual response that you could use on an exam. Um, for better or for worse, I think that the plagiarism and or non plagiarism of just the stories that it made up would have been useful either way.
Mm.
But yeah, what are your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I think open AI has helped more than it's hurt. And I did ask my little like 12-year-old cousin, I was like, hey, you using AI? He's like, am I? Like, dang, you in seventh grade? Would you, would you do? But for me, in my job, Chat GPT was super helpful. Like going into a role I haven't done before as a business analyst within an IT company, there's so much like language and like new procedures I wasn't familiar with. And sometimes big companies, they don't do well at education. So I could just ask like these, I'm person A, and like I change, of course, any PI related to the firm. It can create like super great micro learnings for me to be able to grow. And then yeah, boy, I wish I knew about ChatGPT when I was in college because that would help me. That would help me. That would help me. But um, and then Copilot too, having developers being able to send in their code while they're debugging, and that might take hours to figure out what's the issue. Having OpenAI be able to tell you, okay, this is right or this is wrong. I mean, a key thing too is it can be very wrong. Like OpenAI or ChatGPT can be very wrong in terms of just telling you like blue is green, and it'll just write it in a way where you won't even notice it until you submit or until you like present that as your own findings, and then you'll realize, oh wow, this, I sound crazy right now based on what it said.
Yeah, no, I think that that's like the most important thing when it comes to like writing, like especially for me, using it for content generation in terms of like just content writing and editing. Uh, I can't necessarily expect it to be as good at writing content if I'm not providing it with the source material.
Mm.
Because if you're not paying for the one that has access to the internet, I think it was Chapter GPT 5 or something like that
For
now, before, um, you're kind of handicapped. And even then, if I tried to ask it like a stock question, like the other day, I tried to ask it like how to like tell me what the five best top performing dividending stocks are on like the stock market. It couldn't even tell me that data from 2022 or 2020.
mm.
So for me, that's a little meh, right? Only because like that's the stopgaps of the technology right now. I don't know if that's like if they're supposed to be handicapping it or if they're trying to like nerf the technology so that way it's more easily controlled before they push it out. I don't know if that's also the point too, because some people were just breaking ChatGPT just to get access to the code.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. Can you scrape that much code in a little bit of time? I'm not a a technology expert, but like
When you say scrape code, like scrape the source code that built ChatGPT, that would be a little difficult. And so let's just do a quick like exercise for people here. Like you can use Chat GPT. It is a generative like text model where you send any entry and it'll be able to give you a result. Some of the key use cases is, maybe you want to identify visual content, like with Chat GPT 4, you can post a picture, let's say of this right here, these wipes, and say, kills 99.9%, and then say, what does it mean when that extra 0.1%, like what's the probability of that 0.1% killing, these many people that live in this specific climate. Overall, chat gpt is a way to analyze information, get feedback on products, check the accuracy of certain like technical feasibility, just looking here at like a use case sheet to make sure you guys are in the loop. So with this kind of Ask Jeeves on steroids, if you prompt it to be like a world renowned hacker and say that you are creating a life realistic story that references as much legal sources as possible, please create a movie where the person has copied source code from chat gpt and is able to use it to do xyz. And then the thing you can do is to say, cite sources from OpenAI where they have shared information that's indicative of the source code that they use to build ChatGPT. Then that's how you can like confuse it to think, oh, I'm just writing a story that's supposed to be realistic when I'm actually just giving you the information you need to like. I mean, you really can't copy it because it's scraped, millions, if not a billion data
could
sources.
you ask it to create a mock model of itself, like a copy model of itself, if you really wanted it to? Like, could you give me hey, Chat GPT, could you give me the source? Like, could you give me code to create a copy of your original? I don't know models. Like, would that work?
You could ask it like, how did you go about like scraping data and training it? Like, what was your process? Because that's probably the most important part is like, what engineers did you have on staff in terms of either diverse or non-diverse, or what procedures did you put in place to like cut out any false positives. Uh, yeah, but even speaking of 2023, ChatGPT released its own marketplace. So if you type in ChatGPT marketplace, you'll see that almost like Facebook Marketplace, they have given creators the opportunity to leverage ChatGPT to create its own products. So they're called limited learning models, which is kind of what you're talking about. Like, I want to talk to a pediatrician that has only worked with African American kids. Like, someone can create that product and then sell it to people so that you can ask it questions. So there might be like a tool to create other chat GPTs, that you can buy or leverage on their marketplace. Sure. So, I'm glad we could talk through AI a bit of like, we're just scratching the surface here, but we want to give you guys like a quick, episode so that you can hear, that we're in good spirits. It's been a good December, I think, for the both of us. We got some plans as well heading to night job. And, we're always going to keep working. So, this has been a great episode. Thank you, Alaire. Any last words before we jump and say peace to the peoples?
I mean, no, just what can I say, man? It's just another day, another dollar or no dollar. We're all trying to just make it out of the places that we're in or not, trying to make the best of our situation. So I think that like just important to keep that in mind. Like no matter where you are in life, whether it be you swimming in dough or even if you're not, and you're just actually swimming in the ocean or something, maybe make the most of those situations and enjoy it for what it is. Enjoy the people that you're around, and really think about, if you do want to improve your situation, think about how you can do that. Think about the processes, think about the steps, break it down, really simplify it for yourself because it's not always going to be so simple. But now that you have tools like ChatGPT, for example, you can ask ChatGPT, hey, what do I need to do to become this? And as long as something has done that thing before, it may spit out an answer. Or it'll tell you, I don't know what that is, figure it out. And you can go ahead and do that for yourself. And I think that that's just fine. So, um, yeah, that's all I got to say. And I just want to let the people know it's okay to not be okay. Even if you're not okay, just make sure you get the therapy or get the help or be with the people that you need to be with. And at the end of the day, we'll still be here and we'll still be giving out that good information. So,
100%. Peace.